In this tutorial, I'm going to go over basic file handling and placement in Adobe InDesign. Now, with most of the stuff you're putting into InDesign, you are getting it from somewhere else. You're either making it in Photoshop or Illustrator, or you're using a high-res photograph. And so what I have here is a beginning of a book cover design, based off of Shepard Fairey. So I have a graphic and I have a title. And we see here from the links that those are actually from separate files. And then I do have a few just basic color blocks that are generated directly in InDesign. So the first thing you have to be careful of when you are using different files and bringing them into InDesign is that InDesign needs to know where to find the files because it is only referencing the files. The files are not like in the document. They are separate, and so if you lose the original document, like if I use the lose the text or lose the image, I will no longer have a high resolution version of it. I might still have a small preview, but it is not good for printing because it will appear pixelated if you print it. So it's really important to have an organized file structure. And the way that you do that is you basically put everything in the same folder. You're going to put all of your InDesign assets and your actual InDesign file into a single folder. So your assets are the images or the text or the other design elements you're going to put onto or into your InDesign document. So in this case, this is my title text and my cover image. And I probably have a few other elements for the back cover as well, which I'm not going to get into here. So first of all, you want to always see when you bring stuff in, you want to see the links here. If you see a different symbol, that means something is wrong. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up in window the links here because you'll need to be able to find this because this shows you all of the links, all of the files that InDesign is referencing. So I'm just going to drag this here until I see the blue bar so it can kind of be docked on the side. And right now I have two files, and if I hover over them, I should be able to see where they are located. And they are all located on my desktop in the book cover demo folder, and then I see the actual file name, right? And if I were to go ahead and switch over to my Finder and say go ahead and I'm going to just right click and move to trash. If I do that and then I move back to InDesign, you will now see a question mark here, and you never want to see the question mark because that means that InDesign doesn't know where the file is. The file could have simply been renamed or it could have been moved to a different folder. Either way, if you see that, you no longer have the high resolution version of that image, and you can actually see now that my Obey Giant text no longer looks good because it's only the low resolution preview. It's not getting the actual file. Right, so we want to be very careful of that, and we also see in my links now that I have a question mark because it doesn't know where it is it's missing. So I can double click to relink, and in this case, I simply, what I have is I just have a duplicate copy here that I can link back to, right? So even if you change your name accidentally of the file, you can just relink it like this, or you can drag in a new file, but I chose to relink it. Now, to get the files in originally, what we're going to do is we're going to basically just use one tool, which is the rectangle frame tool here. I'm going to draw the first one out to get my cover image, and I want to start at the edge of the bleed, which is outside the actual cover, and then I'm going to go to the mark that is for the beginning of my spine, and I'm going to go ahead and just get that lined up properly there. Then, to get an actual image or an asset into InDesign, I can go to File and Place. And again, before I do this, I want my files to already be in the folder with the saved InDesign document. And so then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the cover image. And this is where it's helpful, right, if I have cover here, so I just know that that's what it is. It comes in at its native resolution. Now this is actually a vector file, so I can infinitely scale it. So I'm going to go right click, go to fitting, and fill frame proportionally. And so that centers this kind of sound box here. And then I know what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to drag this out, and this lets me see more of the image. This box is basically framing it, and I can either change the size of the box, or I can change the size of the image within the box by either right-clicking and changing the fitting, or by double-clicking, and then when I see the green outline, I can go ahead and change that. Now, I don't want to change it like that, but we'll go over the change a little bit more in a second. Now, the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to make my back cover here. I'm going to want to make it the same color as this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my color picker tool. Now I can click on the eyedropper tool, but in this case, the eyedropper tool to pick a specific color, right? And so then I have that color here, and then I can go ahead and draw my background box, like so. But I also like using the color theme tool, because then I can click this, get this color theme, press the button all the way to the right, which brings it into my current library. And when it's in my current library, I can then actually access this in my fill swatches, and then I have actually all of the colors from this document here. So I have that. Now this is doing one thing I don't like, which is it's in front of this layer. So I'm going to click on Arrange and send it to the back, because I know that I want that all the way in the back. Then I can go ahead and add my title text. So I'm going to go back to my rectangle frame tool. And I am going to draw this right here. Then I'm going to go to File and Place. The shortcut, though, is really good to know because you'll be using it a lot. Command and D on a Mac or Control and D on a PC. And I'm going to choose my cover type. Bring it in. And then I'm just going to go ahead in this case, and I'm going to extend the frame out here. And then what I want to do is I'm going to have to go ahead and make this text a little bit smaller because this O is way too close to the spine edge. So I'm going to double click. And I'm just going to go ahead and make this whole image just a tiny bit smaller so that the O is a little bit removed from the spine there, and a little bit removed from the trim line here. Now I could also have sized this correctly at first and made this 9 inches wide, and then I would have a pretty good placement from the spine edge to the book edge. But I didn't do that. And so I have my Obey Giant here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just choose the basic rectangle tool, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle all the way across my document here. And I'm going to choose the fill color of the red of the background. And then again, I'm going to go to Arrange and send it backward. I'm not going to send it to the back because I do want it only behind this Obey Giant. And then I might notice that the red of the Obey Giant is just a little bit off from this red background here, so I can't always go back to my Illustrator document, which that does not exist. So I could go back to the Finder here, open up my copy document, and then what I can do is I can go ahead and do a couple of things. I'm just going to make the artboard a little bit smaller here so that it fits like that. And then I'm going to go ahead to my libraries. I'm just going to go ahead and delete layer 2. And I forgot I have to go ahead and save that. And then let's see what happens when I do that. So now it's been modified. So now I need to go ahead into here. Now that it's been modified, double click so I get the type, and now I just have the type itself without the background, so it's going to work a little bit better with the colors that I have. So now we can see I'm backed up. I have my title. I can double click. I need to actually make it just a little bit smaller, so again it's not quite so close to the spine edge. And so now I have my front cover. I need a few more things, but I can also go ahead and focus on my back cover now. So that's the basics of file structure for your InDesign document and basic placing and importing of files into your InDesign document.